well, let it all happen and live. So I think that still not sort of go on myself, and I feel that in the business at the moment I'm doing at the moment, like I find like sometimes I find some people that are around me, whatever, I look at them and say, well, I've got something behind me, I've got a little bit of house behind me, I've got a little bit of certain situation behind me, and I have an awful lot of drive in myself. I was out the other day, I started at 8 o'clock in the morning and I finished at 11:30, and I was working all day. I did 7 appointments with garages, I did with my bank manager, I was with another company for negotiating for etching their fleet cars.
And where do you find the time to fit in your psychiatrist?
Well, like I'm running all the time, but this is a drive I have in me because I want to make this business work. Whereas I find some people like who are not as well off as I would be maybe and not having the same drive.
Right.
So, but I find it's great having that drive, and it's hopefully it'll get me to further
Well,
further
we
fields.
wish you the very best for all your endeavours in the future. Stephen, thank you very much. Stephen Roche. Excellent. Well done, Stephen. Yeah, great stuff. Stephen Roche. A quick reminder now. A quick reminder of our Monster Tato competition. Now, you might remember we launched it a few weeks ago on the show. The closing date is only 10 days away. That's the 18th of April. All you have to do is go out and buy a packet of Tato crisps, and you can find out all the details of the competition. Now, what you could win: pure gold, live on the show on the 22nd of April in the Tato Kenny Live Gold Scoop of a Lifetime competition. There are 5 fantastic prizes to be won. First of all, £15,000 worth of gold bars. Nice one. Or a brand new Opel Corsa, or 3 exotic Sunshine holidays. It's our biggest ever giveaway on the show, a total value of approximately £40,000 worth of prizes. Okay? So get your entry in, and you could be one of the 5 people going to do battle on the show on the 22nd of April. Don't forget, just 10 more days to get your entries in. And my next guest knows what it is to live a lie. She's an actress, and that, of course, involves becoming a different person to her real self from time to time. But recently, she decided that even her real self just would not do. She's starring in Mike Newell's directorial follow-up to the big screen hit 4 Weddings and a Funeral. The new movie is called An Awfully Big Adventure. Will you welcome its star, Miss Georgina Cates. You are very welcome to the show. Please make yourself comfortable. First of all, Georgina, I better point, you are a trained actress, isn't that so?
Yes.
Yeah, and you're from where?
Colchester in Essex.
Colchester, you're an Essex girl.
I am.
All right, you're an Essex girl. The part in An Awfully Big Adventure, you really wanted it. Why so?
Well, basically, I'd read the book by Beryl Bainbridge about 2 years before the film was actually being talked about, and it's incredible. It's very honestly written because it's semi-autobiographical, so it's not a book about beautiful, nice people. It's
okay,
about...
and the part that you played, what sort of a part was it?
Well, she's just very odd, and I think that's always nice to an actor, because she's not sort of conventional. She's lots of different things.
And she's from Liverpool?
Yes.
Okay, and you're from Essex.
Mm-hmm.
How did you go about persuading them initially? You wrote to them saying you wanted this part, is that so?
Yes.
Pester them?
Probably, yes. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, and you signed your name, which was at the time?
Claire Woodgate.
Claire Woodgate.
Yes.
And the replies from them said, "Dear Claire,
we don't want to see you."
Don't want to audition you, don't want to know you, you're an Essex girl, you're not the kind of person that we want to have in our film.
Pretty much, yes.
Okay.
They wanted a genuine 16-year-old Liverpudlian girl who never acted before and was very raw. And I wasn't. And
you weren't. You were a trained actress from Essex, and you did not fit the part. So
No.
what did you then do?
Well, I thought about it and told myself to forget about it. Couldn't. So I wrote to them as a genuine Liverpudlian girl.
What kind of a letter did you write to them?
Well, I wrote a letter which was probably the most precocious thing possible, and basically said, I'm not gorgeous, I'm not anything, but I am 16 and from Liverpool, so please see me.
Yeah, and they did?
They did.
Yeah, and how did you go to the audition? Did you go as an Essex girl, or did you then go as a Liverpool girl?
Well, it depends how you define an Essex girl. I went as me, but sort of added sort of knee-high socks and hair grips and a Liverpudlian accent.
And you changed your name to Georgina Cates.
That as well, yes.
Okay. So they believed they were auditioning a real Liverpool girl,
Yes.
and they gave you the part.
After sort of 8 hours of screen testing, they did.
Okay. And you kept up the Liverpool accent for the entire time.
Yes.
Okay. You got the part, and immediately, of course, you confessed that you were not from Liverpool.
You know that's not true, so that's why you're asking me. That's what I should have done. Thinking back, that's the proper thing to have done, and I didn't. I was just so overawed to get it. I was told on the Monday morning, and I started rehearsing the Tuesday morning and flew to Dublin, I think the Thursday morning, and started filming on Friday. So
How long was the shoot altogether?
7 weeks.
7 weeks. For 7 weeks, you pretended you were Liverpudlian. Even between takes, having coffee, having steak and chips,
Having dinner.
you had to say, pass the tomato ketchup in Liverpudlian.
Yes.
Did you get away with it?
Yes.
No one ever copped on?
No, not at all. I used to have conversations with people. I used to study maps of Liverpool at night because I used to have to talk to them about where I lived, and I had absolutely no idea of anything. So I remember one time I did say I lived in Hope Street, and I was talking to a Liverpudlian actor, and he said, I thought there were any shops on Hope Street. And I said, well, I live above the fish and chip shop. But
And he said, there is no fish and chip shop.
there was. I was lucky. I was very lucky, and there was. So
It must have been terrifying, because you had to live this lie. You know, the cast normally relax in the evening and maybe go and have a drink and so on. And you had to keep this pretense up. So you were doing a double acting. You were acting a Liverpool non-actress playing a part in a film.
Yeah, I was to a certain extent, and it was hard because you get very close to people when you're on a film set. You're with them sort of 20 hours of every day, and what I didn't want to do was deliberately keep lying for the sake of lying. So you try and get around the conversation as easily as possible.
And when did you confess?
Well, Mike Newell actually says that he thinks if people hadn't started to wonder, I'd have never said anything. And he's probably right. I'd probably be sitting here now as Georgina Cates from Liverpool and be quite happy. But there was sort of, everyone was saying, you know, oh, it's very odd that she's quite relaxed around Hugh Grant and Alan Rickman and things. And I did think I should really say something when it came to 3 weeks after the shoot. So.
But it was all finished, all wrapped up.
Yeah, it was at Cannes.
By the way, I'm not from Liverpool at all. I'm from Colchester in Essex.
I actually didn't know how to tell them, so I left messages on their answer phones and then sent them into Flora Flowers. And I was just very lucky. They were great, really wonderful to me. I think because they sort of understood. It's very hard for actors to get seen for parts.
Yeah, you've got to be pretty desperate to make it to the top in the acting business. You've got to be very determined because there's so many disappointments along the way.
You have to be a lunatic.
And the cattle calls of auditions and all that.
It's horrible. It's really horrible.
Well,
I still don't understand it at
well,
all.
on the lunatic fringe, you've clearly qualified yourself by
Thank you.
this great adventure. Would you like to see a clip of the movie? Yeah, okay. This is Claire Woodgate, who has now changed her name by deed poll to Georgina Cates.
Yes.
With Alan Rickman. Alan Rickman is playing P.L. O'Hara, who is in love with you, I think, really.
In fact, yes.
Infatuated with you.
Yeah.
And you're a
For no
very,
reason.
You're a very naive girl who does not know really how to play the game of love.
But,
yeah, go on, you want to say?
But tries very hard and fails.
Yeah, tries very hard to do what is expected, she thinks, of her, but it doesn't quite turn out that way. Let's have a look.
Look at me as if I might blow up the chimney.
isn't quite like that, you know. There are things come first. Lots of things.
This part, I mean, you were right to go after it because it's been the making of you, and your deception, your ruse, has worked in your favour. You've made another movie since?
I came back to Dublin and shot a film for Michael Lindsay Hogg called The Dork of Cork.
Very good. And you've got an American agent?
I have. I go to LA on Tuesday to finalise the next one, which is kind of scary.
Okay, and how does it feel, everyone calling you Georgina, when you were born and bred a Clare?
Well, actually, everyone calls me George, and it's sort of just easy because my dad was called George, so I'm sort of used to it.
Well, can I wish you the very best, and thank you very much for joining us on the show. Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, that's the end of part one. We'll see you in a couple of minutes.
Interest rates are rising. Fiat have the answer. 0% interest-free finance over 12 months, or 9.5% APR over 37 months, and free road tax on all new Tipos, Temperas, Cinquecentos and Puntos. Offer closes 1st of May 1995. Fiat, the answer to rising interest rates.
Uncle Ben's rice is the same as it's always been, but different. It's still tasty, nutritious, fluffy grains of rice that never stick. But now, Uncle Ben's rice is faster cooking, so you get perfect results in even less time. Uncle Ben's, perfect results every time.
If you aren't yet a Lion's tea drinker, now is the time to discover what you've been missing by treating yourself to the new enriched flavor of Lion's Green Label tea bags. See promotional packs in all shops now. Lion's, the best teas in the world.
Okay, everybody, it's time to start changing your lifestyle and getting healthy. Here we go. Let's stretch it up.
Kellogg's bran flakes are an easy way to get into a healthier lifestyle.
Let's go for the fun.
They have more fibre than most other cereals, they're low in fat, but taste great.
You're looking good.
I think I'll go for the burn tomorrow. Kellogg's bran flakes, a step in the right direction.
When I was young, my mother said, son, I have something to say. You will be a bachelor's boy till your dying day. She said, son, you are a bachelor's boy. That's the way you stay. Happy to be a bachelor's boy till your dying day. Bachelor's boy.
Some things just come naturally. Like butter. Naturally pure, naturally delicious. That's why when goodness really counts, it must be butter. Butter, often copied, never equaled.
John's stores are open this Sunday from 1 to 6 p.m. in Corners Court and from 2 to 6 p.m. at the Ilac Centre, Henry Street, the Stephen's Green Centre, the Square Tala, the Mill Centre Clondalkin, the Swan Centre Rathmines and the Donaghmede Shopping Centre Dublin. Bishopstown Court Cork, Parkway Limerick, Killarney, Tralee Shopping Centre, Ennis, Terryland Galway, Navan and Church Street Cavan. Also open in Redmond Square Wexford, Newbridge and Kilkenny. John's stores for better value shopping this Sunday.
Ushtingal, Winnie Ushtingal, Fanny Ushtingal, Shimal the Van, Nursing Rakakarias,
Playing the National Lottery raises £96 million a year for beneficiary projects throughout Ireland. On behalf of those you help, thank you.
want you to cast your mind back a year or so. If you can remember what it was like this time of year last year, the country was in the grip of pre-World Cup hysteria. The whole nation was in a state of joyous anticipation, except for one group of women. In fact, they were so traumatized that they needed counselling. So I want you to give, please, a very warm and sympathetic welcome to the football widows.
Well, ladies, we all know why we're here. Bereavement is such a terrible thing, but this type I really do feel is the worst. That's why we're gathered here today, and that's why I wanted to form this support group. Because it's only by being with each other and by sharing each other's experiences can one overcome this. Agnes, dear, I'm going to start with you. How did your husband finally go?
He went very slowly. Very slowly indeed.
How so, Agnes?
First he went by ferry to Holyhead. Then he got a coach to London. And from there he got a flight. It was a long, drawn-out affair.
It must have been very, very hard on you, Agnes. And you, Rosaline, dear, how about your situation?
Well, in a way, I was lucky, really. He went very quickly. We hardly knew what had happened.
Was it very sudden, Rosaline?
Very. He got a last-minute flight with cheapo travel. It hasn't hit me yet.
Was there even a chance to say goodbye, Rosaline?
No. His last words to me were, "I'm going now, love. I'm bleeding going now." He put a brave face on it, mind you. He let on to be happy. But that was the way of him, always thinking of others.
Agnes, dear, I know this is hard, but can you tell us, what kind of a man was your husband?
Well, I always knew he was there, you know. Like if I was in the kitchen, I always had the knowledge and known that he was in there in the living room with his little feet up on the sofa, looking at some important Belgian League match. No. My fella was just the same, you know. If the car fell on me, you know, when I'd be servicing it, or if I fell off the roof when I'd be reconnecting the cable link. I know that if I just screamed out with the pain of the fall, Tom would have woke up like that. And called out, "What the hell is it this time, Rosie?"
And they never lied.
No, they never lied,
If
never.
my fella was going to a football match or one of his pitch and putt trips and he said, "See you later, Raggy," he always stuck to his word and came home much shagging later. I never had to worry, like, unless he lost his key and had to put the window through.
So considerate. Do you know, my fella used to take his shoes off before coming up the stairs, just so I wouldn't hear his footsteps. And I never did. Now, mind you, I would hear him bouncing off the walls and the banisters. Once or twice I heard him pissing in the wardrobe, but never did I hear his footsteps.
And of course, it's those little sayings, those little habits that won't be there, ladies, when you go home. Agnes, dear, could you share with us some fond memory or saying of your husband?
Oh, yeah? Oh, my fella had some lovely little sayings. Change your mood in a flash.
Such as what, Agnes?
Well, if I was in the kitchen, as usual, and he'd come in from work, like, he'd just look at me. And he'd say, "Aggie, you dog, you where's me bleeding dinner?" He'd a lovely line and whip.
Or do you know what my fella used to say? If our darling youngest woke up in the middle of the night, you know, teen pains or something like that, Tom would just turn to me in the bed and he'd say, "Would you ever shut that little shagger up?" I miss that.
I know. Come on now, ladies, come on, up. Every cloud has a silver lining, don't you think? Why don't you join with me in some little song that will lift our spirits a bit? Because there may be trouble ahead, and And if those scumbags can live and forget all their woes, let's go to Jabangos.
Fiona and all your right, Anne-Marie Darling from the Parnassus Theatre Group. They had a hugely successful show called World Cup Me Arse. So successful that they've released a cassette of it, and it has shot straight into the top 5 of the album charts. And if you want to actually see the show live, it'll be the Olympia Theatre for a week from May the 22nd. A couple of comments here. Teresa Parle, would I be interested in donating the rugby T-shirt to Graham Boland in Clondalkin, who's raising funds for research in Crumlin Hospital for Sick Children? Would that be okay, guys, to raise it? Okay, thank you very much indeed, lads. They're giving it the okay, so Graham, that is yours. We'll pass it on. Dermot O'Leary from Cork, well done to Georgina. She's proof that if you want something badly enough, you have to be determined to try anything. But John Morris from Dundrum says, Georgina or Claire or whoever she is, she's the best-looking lunatic I've seen in ages, says he. Now, I want to show you something, because I want you to have a look at something which I find fascinating. Now, how would you like a house like this? Now have a good look at it, right? Let's have a look at that in close-up if we can. It's in bits. Roof, okay, door, weather getting in, an absolute disaster area. You would not touch it with a 40-foot pole. But suppose you actually did a few things to it, and it turned out like that. A dream house, okay? Now that's the same house. And an exhibition called Designing Your Dreams, which contains over 20 before and after homes, is opening in Dublin on Monday, open to the public on Tuesday. It's happening in 8 Merrion Square. Along with the photographs in the exhibition, there's details of the exact work which was carried out by the builders and the architects, and the clients' comments are also recorded. And in the coming months, the show is going to be travelling all around the country, to Wicklow, to Galway, to Cork, to Limerick, and to Wexford. Duncan Stewart, I think, is doing the honours. Duncan, come on.
How are you?
You know Duncan Stewart?
Good to see you, Pat.
From our house, architect, TV presenter.
Thank you. Yeah.
He's going to talk us through a few more examples.
Yes, Pat, maybe I should say that, you know, I found in my TV series that there's an awful lot of people out there that need to know a lot more about their homes and look for advice, and they don't really, a lot of the time around the country you find people don't know where to get the right advice.
Yeah.
And really, they often have to end up building extensions or alterations of the house, and often take a big risk with lots of things.
And
it's a lot of money
more money
involved.
than they need
exactly.
to sometimes.
And I think it's very important that they get the right advice. Now, there are a lot of architects around the country that specialise in small practices, qualified, and that specialise in this sort of work, and are very good at doing alterations,
and
extensions.
it's not going to cost the earth.
And it's not going to cost the world.
Right.
In fact, it's really good value for money.
Okay, and it can save you money. That's the principle.
Absolutely, yeah.
Let's have a look at this. Talk us through this.
Well, first of all, this was done, just to let you know, this was done by an architect called Sheena Marr, and she worked very closely with the client on this restoration, and I think she got tremendous results out of it.
It certainly looks very charming.
Yeah.
Absolutely charming.
And
now, this is a fairly boring kind of a house.
A typical house, very ordinary, everyday house, and this is a typical extension that very often gets built because people don't know how to deal with the problem. Now, this was built in the 60s. The extension was built probably sometime in the 70s, and Colette Downey, the architect here, transformed this house with very simple, very easy way, and very tight budget for it too.
Let's have a look.
Yeah. What she did here is she took the existing extension, didn't rebuild it, but revamped it, put on a roof on it, built a very nice bay window out here, very cleverly done, because that bay window is the dining area, and it links the extension with the house. Rather than the extension being tagged onto the side, now she's integrated the whole kind of living part. She's a living room in here behind the bay.
So we're not always talking about exotic houses like the first one, or ancient
and very
houses.
simple little things, and yet she's maximised the use of the south-facing garden. Yeah, this was by Robert Mandel, and this is how he got the house. And I think in our house series, we had a lot of these type of problems.
This is in bits, this
absolutely bits. Everything, dry rot, rising damp, all of the things. And the family here that Robert Mandel worked with here bought this house in the mid-80s, in fact, and took on this kind of they really kind of got involved with this house.
Okay,
and
let's
had to do everything
show people.
Yeah,
that's the same room.
That's the same
folks.
room, exactly.
Exactly the same
and
room.
And they just
Isn't that lovely?
transformed it. And I think it's great when you see architects working closely with their clients like this and maximising.
Yeah, that's absolutely beautiful. Show us what can be done.
Real value to the
Now, how about
house.
this? This is something that you wouldn't touch again if you could
exactly.
possibly avoid it, you think?
Well, put it this way. This is an old annex onto a lovely old Victorian house, and it had a secluded garden to the rear of the house, south-facing. And the family that owned this house wanted to try and maximise the opportunity here that's tremendous potential.
This is what
So she
turned
transformed it into what's called a garden room. And inside in this, with these beautifully kind of very nicely designed, tall French windows here and French doors and the arched
they
windows.
look as if they're original and they're not
They do,
at all.
and they throw tremendous light, Pat, deep into the house. And with this roof lighting, see this very nice, clever roof lighting, that throws light back onto a very nice water sculpture which is in an alcove at the rear of the building. And you can see the way the garden has been transformed. Now, obviously, these people are enjoying their home. There's a lovely waterfall in the garden, too, and there's a meandering stream. All of what you'd ever want in a home.
That's absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
Now, this is a kind of a typical modern house.
Typical house in the 70s. Cathal Cremons is the architect here, who does a lot of this sort of work and is very good at it. And what he's done with this was a family that came back from living in Italy, and were used to the Mediterranean climate, and they enjoy that lovely warm climate there. But the unfortunate thing about this house was the back garden was facing north. So Cathal, what he did with the family was he realised there was potential to build a little court in the front of this bungalow and enclose it and create a microclimate. And he built out an extension here, which is a family room with a lot of glass south-facing and a nice timber deck here, nice timber windows, well insulated. And he has transformed this house and made the whole living area of the house around the front enclosed and secluded and private, yet a lovely patio.
Absolutely
so he's maximised this house again.
Now this.
Again, yeah. It's
what is it?
Right, yes. Well, it's the before at least, it's not the after. Right.
Okay, now what was it?
It's an old mill up in County Meath where Paul Leach, an architect who does a lot of work in solar energy, and he'd taken on board by his clients to build a house where this old mill was fallen derelict. So he used the footprint of the old house, he salvaged the old stonework, and he built a house with solar energy and used the water as a water turbine, so the energy efficiency and all of that was taken on board.
Wait till you see this.
Yeah,
This
and he's
is
transformed it, and he's made a lovely house out of it with the whole tranquil around. Yeah. You know, what do you say? It says it itself. Absolutely. Yeah, sure. Yeah, but I think, Pat, it's great to see the Royal Institute of Architects involved in this, because in my view, in the past, architects tend to be very inaccessible to the public, and a lot of the time the public regarded architects as doing big commercial work, and not interested in the ordinary, everyday problems. And in my view, there's a huge demand out there, and the Royal Institute of Architects of Ireland have identified that, and are bringing this tour around the country, and hopefully it will make people
stimulate people into thinking what they can do.
It's what they can do, and in fact that there is solutions to their problems that can add value to their projects, etc.
Okay, number 8 Merrion Square, to the public starting on Tuesday.
That's right, exactly.
Duncan,
and it
thank
goes
you
around
very
the
much.
country. Right.
Duncan Stewart.
By the way, maybe I should say, the Art House series or something like that.
When is it happening?
It's coming on again for the autumn. Excellent. I'm looking forward to seeing everybody.
Right, Duncan, thanks a million. Duncan Stewart. Now, last December, my next guest received a cheque for £250,000. She is a lawyer, but she had nothing whatsoever to do with the Beef Tribunal, I can tell you that. She's also a wonderful artist and a sculptor, but I'm afraid her paintings and her pieces don't fetch that kind of money. Now, this was a gift from Dr. Michael Smurfit to the cause that is closest to her heart. Will you welcome, please, a founder of and a tireless campaigner for the Irish Hospice Foundation, Dr. Mary Redmond. You're very welcome. You must have been absolutely gobsmacked when you saw the numbers on that cheque.
I was absolutely flabbergasted. I mean, it was an amazing occasion. It was an award ceremony which was organised by the Links Golfing Society, and I can remember that a number of sports celebrities had got their awards before I did, and you noted the sort of things that nobody had to say any words and so on. And when I went up to get my award, Cecil Whelan said to me, "Say a few words, Mary." So I was sort of recovering from the shock of having to say a few words, and I was sitting down and I heard Michael Smurfit getting his corporate award, and sort of floating over across to me on the stage were the words, "I know Mary and I know the Irish Hospice Foundation, and I'd very much like to give them also £250,000.
Wow.
And then you heard people clapping, and you had a sort of sense of being detached from the reality of it all. It was absolutely amazing. He's a very, very generous person.
You're a Dubliner by birth and upbringing?
Yes, I am. I'm not the species of Dubliner on both sides, but I'm 50% West Cork rural background. But I was brought up in Dublin.
Okay. You had an illness as a child, is that so?
Yes, I was an asthmatic, and I still am. I got asthma when I was about 3 years old, and I grew into it rather than growing out of it.
And how did that affect you as a child?
Well, I suppose at that stage that you hadn't got the same sort of preventive drugs that you've got now. So it meant that you had a lot of nights. People who have got asthma realise that it comes on very badly at night, and you spent all night awake, and the sort of the aloneness of having an illness like that, and then the lovely feeling of the birds in the morning you've got through the night, and that sort of thing. So it makes you stop and think about.
Did it
life.
change you, do you think, from the way you were born and might have turned out to the
I suppose it's
you are
hard to
today?
say if it changed me, because it's all I ever knew, but it certainly made me think a lot about pain and, you know, the fact that you pass this way but once, you only live once. That's the sort of thing that I think it produced in me.
Yeah. And the whole idea of the Hospice Foundation, I mean, where did that come from?
Well, it started about 10 years ago when my father died. At that stage I was a don in Cambridge, so I was floating around the town in my gown, not really thinking very much about these things, and then he got a very serious illness, a cerebral hemorrhage. And that was my introduction to hospice, because it was very hard to get a bed in the hospice. It still is actually very difficult for non-malignant patients. And when we got a bed in the hospice, it made an immense difference when you saw the care, and the care for the family and for the carers as well as for the patient. It was, if you like, dying in hospice is natural. I mean, dying is as natural a thing as being born, and yet you talk far more about being born. And then in the hospice, it's treated, it's a place of immense peace and calm.
Yeah, at that time, I think people thought of a hospice as a place. They didn't think of hospice as a movement or as a philosophy.
That's right, and there's a little bit of confusion, I think, probably still around about that, because it is actually, it's a philosophy of care. And somebody once said you can provide palliative or hospice care to somebody on the side of the road. So it is a philosophy of care, basically, that looks to to enable a person who's terminally or chronically ill, for whom cure is no longer feasible, looks to enable them to live to the very fullest of their capacities until the very end. So it's living, the emphasis is on living to the end, and it looks after somebody in relation to pain, and that pain can be not only physical, but it can also be spiritual or social, or it can have to do with your family. And so bereavement counselling is a very important part of hospice.
And the foundation itself, what does it do as distinct from the actual bricks and mortar of hospices? There's in Dublin, for example, there's Our Lady's Hospice, there's the one in Raheny, and then there's hospice home care.
Yes, no, hospice home care is extremely important, obviously, because that's where there are 30 hospice home care teams in Ireland, and then there are 3 freestanding hospices and 6 other units. The Hospice Foundation comes in very much to what I would call the social movement side of hospice. If you talk about the hospice movement, you talk first about an approach to palliative care, and then you talk about the social movement, and it's the volunteer side of hospice that the foundation is involved in. We support, you might say, we're the consumers or the purchasers. We support hospices in various ways inside Dublin and outside of Dublin, and we're also involved in research, in bereavement counselling, in national fundraising. That's to say, we put in resources which help people to raise money for their own areas, the Sunflower, if I can mention that, which will be coming up soon, or Ireland's biggest coffee morning.
Okay, and you do the national sort of profiling of that, so that local groups around the country can piggyback on your advertising and your PR efforts.
And all the money that they raise locally remains locally. And one of the things that the foundation is looking into at the moment, because we see that there's quite a big gap there, is the provision of palliative care services in an acute hospital. And we've been talking to St James's Hospital about that, and they're interested
to sort of bring the hospice movement
into a general hospital, because 60% of patients die in hospitals. So there is clearly a need in general hospitals for palliative care. And what we're exploring with St James's is the idea of having palliative care for all patients. In other words, not just for patients who have got a malignant illness, but for everybody in the hospital who needs it.
Is there any resistance to that kind of thing? I mean, for example, if the hospice movement in some form, maybe as a home care, moves in and starts looking after a patient, maybe a GP loses money because he doesn't get the call anymore.
Well, I'm not familiar with there being resistance there. I mean,
or in the hospitals, like where outsiders are coming into someone else's patch.
Yeah. There may be, but I actually, it's not something that I would personally know anything about. But I'd just also say in relation to the hospice movement that there are 30 hospice groups all over the country. And that's something that I think is very important. It's very good news that the amount of groups, they have doubled and trebled in less than 10 years. The Irish Cancer Society has done a tremendous amount of work in putting in palliative care nurses. And there are people in the audience here this evening who are representative of hospice groups. And
You want to name a few of them?
I do, actually,
Yeah.
because since you can't name yourselves, I'd like to name you. There are 20 groups actually here this evening, and flying through them all, there's Longford, RD, Meath, Carlow, Cavan, North West Hospice, North Louth, Drogheda, Offaly, Limerick, Laois, Westmeath, North Tipperary, Mayo Roscommon, Raheny in Dublin, Cork, Kerry, Donegal, Waterford, Kildare, and I'm honorary South Wicklow.
And you're honorary South Wicklow. Yeah. The great thing about the hospice philosophy is that, for example, there are areas where there are no hospitals locally.
Yes.
And it means great hardship if someone has to be moved away from their home to a hospital that is distant. They get no visitors or very infrequent.
Exactly.
So if you can actually bring the carer to the patient.
It's very much a feature of hospice that you've got home care coming into the home. And if you look at, say, 1993, for which there are figures available, you had, say, roughly 1,000 patients admitted into the hospice units, but almost 3,000 patients admitted to home care, and that's absolutely fantastic. And you can see, particular areas of rural Ireland, that this is so important. But again, the people that are here present would be able to say that very often the provision of palliative care services will come from the voluntary effort in the community, and it can be a very big burden. For example, in Waterford, it's a question of raising £1,500 a week in order to provide that service. I think that's probably not sufficiently known, that a great deal of the hospice services provided throughout Ireland are actually provided by voluntary effort, by people putting a phenomenal amount of time into it. It's probably one of the highest levels of giving that you can find.
How do you actually keep your whole life together as a wife, mother, lawyer, running your own business, and then more and more, I'm sure your time is taken up with the hospice?
I'm afraid I don't have a blueprint for that. I just simply try. Probably become very good at time management. Being in a practice on my own, I don't have to spend any time small chatting to anybody else. I can come in late if I've been at a hospice meeting. I can work through lunch and so on. It's difficult, and some things do suffer, obviously. There's no point in saying it's all very easy, because it isn't.
Yeah. And finally, what should you do with the £250,000 that you got from Dr. Michael Smurfit?
Well, it is going to be spent on trying to bring together something that the foundation is very involved in and has been involved in, and so his money is very timely, bringing together the infrastructures, the voluntary movement, and we have started a system of affiliation which has gone extremely well, and the people here present this evening are affiliates, and we want to try and strengthen, keeping our own identity, keeping the money we raise locally. We want to be able to strengthen the voluntary aspect, because issues like what sort of partnership you're going to have with the statutory body, fundraising standards, these are all very important things that we want to come together and discuss. So it's going to be to strengthen that very important and will become even more important component in palliative care services.
Well, we all probably inevitably will need the services and the caring of hospice, whether at home or in an institution in a hospice later on. So it's great work you're doing.
Thank you very
much. Everybody. Dr. Mary Redmond, thank you very much.
You can stay here because we're going to have some nice music now.
Well, now, as a sort of epilogue to our conversation, we have a band called All Together Maurice who are launching their new single. Now, it's a lovely, haunting melody written by Matt Spaulding on guitar. It happened after his mother Maureen died last year while in hospice care, and Matt was so impressed by the quality of the care and attention that she, and as well as her, the whole family got, that he wrote the song, and he decided that he was going to release it with all the monies going to the Irish Hospice Foundation. Will you please welcome the band who call themselves All Together Maurice with the beautiful song, Nobody Leaving.
Always a teacher and always a friend, always a giver of life to give to the end. And most of us wanted to know you by name.
the center like moths to a flame, leaving nobody saying goodbye, leaving nobody saying remember good times. You're the heart of a lover, a friend and a mother, two sisters and brothers, and second to none. First to a garden that grows in your name. Spring follows winter and it all starts again. The songs that you gave for the times that were sad, memories haunt me, the best times we had, leaving nobody saying goodbye, leaving nobody saying remember good times. You're the heart of a lover, a friend and a mother, two sisters and brothers, and seconds to watching them packing your bags, gently saying it's so. Coming for you, ready or not, you're not ready to go. Leaving nobody saying goodbye, leaving nobody saying remember good times. You're the heart of a lover, a friend and a mother, two sisters and brothers, and second to none, leaving nobody saying goodbye, leaving nobody saying remember good times. You're the heart of a lover, a friend and a brother, two sisters and brothers, and second to none.
Beautiful. All together, Maurice there. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful song. Liam Wainley on piano, Siobhan Mann on vocals, Clean Quinlan on the fiddle, and composer Matt Spaulding on guitar. That was called Nobody Leaving. That's it. It's on CD and it's on cassette. And get out and buy it. We want to see that in the charts, because everybody involved in the recordings and the filming and the organising, they gave their services free to the project, and we wish them all the very best with it. Great stuff. Great stuff. Now, some of your calls. Mary Robinson is a wonderful president. However, when she leaves office, Dr. Mary Redmond should go for the job. She's a fantastic woman, says Sarah Ennis. So there you are. Sarah Brosnan from Wicklow. Dr. Mary Redmond comes across as a warm, calm, caring woman. It's soothing just to listen to her. Long may she continue her fantastic work. On a different tack, Joe Douglas from Kilbarrack. I'm getting sick of Pat Kenny. Last week, the wife wanted me to be all romantic like Garth Brooks. This week she wants me to renovate the house. Anyway, this is Duncan left this for me, Working with Your Architect. That's available from the RIAI in 8 Marion Square if you want to find out the drill. That's the end of part 2. A very interesting part 3 coming up, as well, of course, as the winner of our car. Who knows who it'll be? I'll see you in a couple of minutes' time.
Not so long ago, who'd have believed Irish Permanent would give you cash on call? That they'd be dancing at the crossroads? And who'd have believed that home loans and holiday loans would be available under one roof? That they'd be drinking Guinness in China and Ballygowan in Boston Bay? That Irish Permanent would be owned by 140,000 people? Or that we'd have peace in our time? Who'd have believed there'd be a current account that credits you with interest and intelligence? Or that the patron saint of Irish sport would be a Geordie? In over 100 years of building homes and hopes, now we have the energy and enterprise to bring you Irish Permanent, your choice in changing times.
You could win pots of money with Lipton Big Leaf Tea. There's a cashback token in every pack. Find a Big Leaf token and win £1,000. See special packs for details.
Pasta. Jazz it up.
Stir fry.
Stir it up.
Casserole.
Lighten it up.
Cottage pie.
Speed it up.
Beef burger.
Dish it up.
When you want to beef it up.
So pick it up.
Blian isteach is blian amach. Chuile lá den tail. Ní lean homestead mar the homestead hain. Fiúntas a teacht chun tí.
Homestead Fiúntas ag teacht chun tí.
Has breakfast come to this? You want to feel good about what they eat. They want something fun. So give them Kellogg's Rice Krispies. Made with single grains of rice, not too sweet. And best of all, kids love it! Kellogg's Rice Krispies, breakfast without the showdown.
Like all the best things in life, the Ford Fiesta never stops improving. Power steering simply means added control on a car already famous for its smooth and responsive handling. Naturally, Ford's commitment to safety means side impact bars, seatbelt grabbers, and driver's airbag are standard across the range. That's the Ford Fiesta range, 95 style.
Get into France.
You're no friend of mine.
The joy of life, the freedom of life.
There are no bad guys, just disturbed guys.
The Allies are on the attack.
Are you going for it, Smithix?
Did I say it was your fault?
Here I go again.
Isn't it strange? For years we've demonstrated how to create the perfect mint with pure white smoothness, sublime shape, and the refreshing cool air supplied by the whole. And yet other mints still model themselves on the bit Polo remove. Polo, the classic mint.
Live at 3, Spring Clean 95. Thelma's Potty about Terracotta. Grace O'Shaughnessy on a tour of the spring collections and a farmhouse transformed. Win a fantastic CIE Tours Jewels of Europe tour for 2. All in Live at 3, Spring Clean 95 magazine. Out now.
Welcome back. Just before we proceed, the hospice free phone line is open from now until 12 midnight. If you want a contact number and information on hospice care anywhere in the country, this free phone number is up there, 1-800-432-432, 1-800-432-432. Now, most of us have grown up in families, mother, father, siblings. That's the sort of normal or conventional background most of us identify with at this time. But you wonder, will this be the case for the next generation? This is a novel. It Takes Two, and it's prompted us to take a look at marriage a la mode, marriage and family life in the 90s and beyond. And I'm delighted to welcome back to Kenny Live the author of this book, Maeve. Haran. Delighted to have you back. We also have with us the Minister of State of the Department of the Environment, Liz McManus, and we have playwright Sebastian Barry. A welcome, please, for our two panellists. Maeve, a ripping good yarn, but a lot of good sense in there somewhere. Where are you coming from? Because the last time we talked, it was about your book, Having It All, and the question was, can a woman have it all? Can she have career, happy family life, good husband, good relationship and all the rest of it? And the answer was a resounding no.
Well, the answer is it's very hard at the moment because men haven't changed as much as we would hope, I'm afraid to say, and because the structure, good support in the audience there for that one, because the structure of work is still very inflexible. So women are still sort of doing a double shift. You know, they're going out to work and they're coming home and then doing the second shift. So it is hard to have it all.
Yeah, you've resolved the problem for yourself. I mean, you were a really high-flying TV executive and you threw it all in, but you now have a hugely successful career as a novelist. But you're doing it at home.
I'm doing it at home, and I can sort of work at night if I have to, and sort of get up early and be with the kids to see them and be there when they get home from school. So I feel less guilty. Whether they like it or not, I don't know. I hope they do.
That's the key. You felt guilty doing your other job.
I did. Well, I felt guilty because I was always stretched like an old rubber band, and I thought I was going to the car wouldn't start in the morning, and I'd have the screaming heebie-jeebies because I was doing too many different things. So I wanted to calm my life down.
Okay. Liz, you're an architect by profession. Not many people remember that, but that's what you are. But you're now a politician by second profession. And you're married to a doctor, and you do seem to have it all.
Well, I think we're probably like most parents. We muddle along and do our best by our children. When I first started a family, and it's a good long time ago now, I'm 25 years married, I thought the best thing to do for my children was to give up work and stay at home and look after them. And I'm very glad I did it. I found it very tough. It's a lot more stressful minding small children.
Was that
than
a
it
conscious
is being
decision,
a minister.
or was it forced on you?
No, it's a conscious decision. I mean, I was lucky to be in that position, that I could make the choice. I think an awful lot of women nowadays who are working and have young children don't have that choice. So I was in a privileged position to be able to make that choice. But looking back now, and I look at the way other families and other couples did stay working, either through choice or because of having to, their children seem just as good as mine. I don't think that because I stayed home there was any magic formula there. I think it's to do with whether you're working outside the home, whether you're at home all the time. I think it's to do with making sure your family is central to your life. And if you can do that, most people, I think, muddle through pretty well. I think.
Okay, but you served your time, if you like.
Yeah.
When the kids were young, you were there all the time. So you didn't have the guilt trips, I presume, that Maeve had.
Well, I suppose we all feel guilty about something. I felt guilty that I wasn't using my degree the way I should, because a lot of money had gone into it. The state had put a lot of money into training me as an architect, and I gave it up. As I say, it suited me. It was what I wanted to do at the time. But I suspect that if I hadn't been so lucky now as to have a full-time job, now that my children are pretty well reared, and a very satisfying job, I might have felt, well, you know, was it worth all that?
In other words, if you had stayed an architect rather than a politician, and you were a struggling architect because you'd lost touch with the profession for 12, 15 years while you were raising your children, you might have kind of resented the fact that you'd done that?
Well, I would have certainly felt bad about it. I couldn't go back to architecture. I'm so long out of it now that I'm totally out of touch. I'm a dinosaur.
I think the guilt goes with the baby, you know, with women. We get given this. Someone said to me this morning, another mother, that when you have the baby, they hand you the baby and then they say, and here's the guilt, you know, that's the next parcel. And it happens to all women. It's extraordinary.
All right. Sebastian, a professional playwright, your wife, Ali, is an actress. Which means that sometimes you probably have, when both of you are resting, time together with the family, with the twins. How old are they now?
They're 2.5.
Right. But sometimes both of you are hellishly busy.
Well, Ali last year toured a couple of times, and we followed her, or we brought her around in our little Ford Escort, the 2 twins and the 2 dogs. Yeah, I mean, I actually, this thing about guilt when you're handed the baby, it's odd that when you really do spend a lot of time with your children, there's always guilt you can find. I mean, there's the guilt of patience. You know, it's something you have to learn with children, is to be infinitely patient, And you get a little bit guilty sometimes if you reach a point, you know, when they're very small and you find yourself passing them like rugby balls just a little bit to each other. You know, you think this is, the manuals would now tell you to go out into the street and find help, you know, because the next thing might be something quite awful. But I must say, even as a man, I respond to that. The lines of guilt involved in rearing children are extraordinary and unexpected, I think.
Okay, the whole basis here, in a sense, you all have opted to be as close to the children as possible. There are many people, as you said, Liz, who can't. You know, by economic necessity, they have to get out there. Let's just talk to some of the people of our audience. If we can throw a little light on the subject over there. Just throw a little light there. Yes, there's a lady here with her hand up.
Yes, Pat, I'm just wondering nowadays, you see, there are both partners are married. Well, both partners are working, I should say, sorry. And I'm just wondering if they have too much of everything, and are not, if they weren't both working at the same time, that they would really maybe make a better go of their marriage. I mean, they're missing an awful lot, I think. The mother or the father, whichever partner chooses to stay at home, they're missing the child's first tooth and first walk and first step. These things can't be replaced by that child, you know. You might replace it by your second child, but you certainly won't see it in your first child, you know. And I think that there's an awful lot of independence nowadays. Too much independence and maybe not enough dependent on one another. There's no training for marriage, number one. No I mean, it takes 4 years to train an engineer or a teacher. There's no training whatever. I'd like to see something coming out in the school curriculum that there would be training for marriage and preparation for marriage.
Yeah, but isn't part of the fun is
it might be part
learning as you go along?
Yeah, but I think it's getting tougher and tougher now, married life.
Yeah,
really,
would you reckon anyway that if people sacrificed a bit, had less in terms of material things, and one person stayed at home, that'd be the best option?
Yes, I think that either one or other of the partner ought to stay at home and stay with their children.
All right, anyone else in the audience?
Enjoy the children.
Yeah, at the back there, lady, yes?
I would disagree with that, Pat. I have 4 children. I went out to work when I had the first 2, and I stayed at home with the second 2, and I didn't feel one bit guilty. You know,
How did the first 2 turn out in comparison to the second 2?
There is no difference. I have a 24-year-old and a 20-year-old, an 11-year-old and a 9-year-old.
And they're all in jail.
And there is no difference, but I think times changed in the 70s. Prices of houses escalated, and women were forced out to work in the workplace. You know, I think it's all about choice, and I think this idea of putting woman against woman and mother against mother, I think we should be supporting one another. I feel very happy what I'm doing, staying at home.
Just in front of you there, lady in red. Not the lady in red, a lady in red, yes? What do you want to say?
Well, I worked for 25 years. I've just recently left work. I did it the other way around from Liz. And I went out to work and I had 3 children. I had a wonderfully supportive husband and a terrific sister and great neighbours. And I created a support system and it's worked. So far, my children are fine. And they enjoyed my working too, I have to say. There are times when my children now say to me, "Why aren't you going to work anymore, Mum?" And I think that we can not necessarily have it all. I'm not sure that I like that expression, but we can all have choices, and it's something that we should look at in a bigger way.
Okay, let's get Maeve to expand on her thesis. What do you think? I mean, is it just horses for courses, or is there a fundamental logic in what you're saying?
I think the world's changing. I think all over the world women are working more, they are having more education, more aspirations, and that is something that's happened. It would be unrealistic not to accept that, and I think a lot of women feel that their talents, they want to use their own talents. And so I feel that does need to be given expression. But I don't think women on the whole go out to work because they want to have another washing machine or a better car. I don't think that it's not a consumer choice. And if it were, I think that would be dangerous. I think it is very often a fact that
But aren't some women now in certain circles, and maybe the circles you moved in, despised because they stay at home?
Well, that's quite wrong. I think that's absolutely wrong for anyone who makes the choice to stay at home and enjoy their children. To feel that they're not being valued for doing that is quite wrong. And I personally don't believe that feminism ever said that, although sometimes it's said that it did.
No, but I remember in your first book you talked about people who really despised people who merely stayed at home, who
Well, I think
mother their children.
Society goes in swings, and it goes forward and then back a bit. And I think actually we are seeing a bit more of a caring for your children and feeling that, you know, we must do the best for them and we must not neglect them. I think there is a certain amount of rethinking about you know, giving children enough importance in life.
Yeah, Sebastian.
I think necessity is the mother of invention and the father of invention, indeed. I mean, we have to look after our children. We have them, and we must look after them. You know, we live odd lives, and we've chosen to live these lives where, you know, we couldn't possibly afford any really support around it. You know, we depend on our families for support. And there's a whole world of people living that sort of life, more or less. You know, in a district like ours in North Great Georgia Street, you have people with very little money, people living on the dole, you have some middle-class people, you have this strange mixture, you know, and people... I wonder, does anyone else feel, I mean, as a kind of a man who's accidentally gone into childminding, does anyone else feel that physically it's an astonishing, labour-intensive thing, and that the exhaustion at the end of the day is so amazing?
the laughter from all the women saying, you know, I want to hear from another man in the audience, a chap with a beard up there. Yeah, right at the back, over towards the centre.
It's really only in the last 150 years that society has become that compartmentalised. Before that, in a rural society, everybody chucked in, everybody went to harvest. Generally, in Irish society, the man looked after the boys from the age of 6 upwards, the women looked after the girls. And I think this kind of, the woman stays at home, the man goes out to work, is a very regimented way to live our lives.
Okay, are there any men here who have, I'm sure there are, women who have stayed at home all their married lives? I'm looking for a chap now. That's a woman again. Oh, no, I'll talk to you if you want to talk about your husband, that's fine. Yeah, over the other bleacher down, that's it, yeah. What do you want to say?
Well, I have stayed at home since my daughter was born.
Yeah.
And I think I don't really agree with Liz on one point where she said that her children, if she had stayed at home, other friends of hers whose children were minded turned out as good. But I don't think that's the issue.
What is the issue?
The issue is your choice that you brought the child into the world, and one or other of the parents is there to look after the child.
Is that what you think the choice is, that one or other must be there, rather than a creche, rather than childminders, rather than...
Well, a lot of people were saying when they were speaking about wonderful childminders, wonderful family, wonderful friends. But I just wonder, are these wonderful friends not working? Wonderful neighbours, they're usually not working.
I think one of the really good things I think that's happening is that because women are changing, men are being pulled much more into childcare than they have been in the past, and I think this is incredibly positive for children. I mean, I had a very distant relationship with my father, which is completely different to the kind of relationship my own partner has with our children. I mean, men are getting much more involved, and it's very good for children.
Yeah. Liz, did John get deeply involved with the kids? I mean, because of his profession as a doctor?
Well, he certainly works very hard. Obviously, since I've started to work full-time, it has changed the way we manage the household, and he certainly does an awful lot of the big children now, but looking after the family and the household, he certainly does.
John is up there.
Yeah.
John, looking very...
sheepish.
Sheepish, yes. When this was thrust upon you, did you feel any male sort of resentment that you were taking on a role that, you know, your earlier experience of marriage had not conditioned you for?
You may remember, Pat, that I myself was involved in politics and stood 5 times and lost. And I thought that's what happened in politics in our house. But Liz won an election, so that just changed things, and that was it. We just went on from there and did it. That was what we had to do.
Yeah. Do you have a view, as I don't want you to breach any confidential things about patients, do you have a view, though, when you see mothers coming in with children, sometimes working mothers, sometimes stay-at-home mothers, do you have a view about which of them are the happier, for instance?
Well, you know, Tolstoy said in the opening line of Anna Karenina that all happy families are the same, but unhappy families are unhappy after their own fashion. So that every unhappy family, any distressed family, they're different. And I don't think there's a great deal of difference in terms of raising children, whether people are working or not. The crucial thing in raising children is that they have both parents who look after them, and that they are jointly parented.
In however small a measure, each one is going to be present.
Well, that's right. As long as the children understand that they have two parents who care for them and look after them.
Okay, Ali,
even if they're split, even if the family is split, that's very important.
Okay, that's another theme, a sub-theme of Maeve's book, the whole question of when parents separate.
Yeah.
Sometimes there's a battle royal and someone gets total custody of the children. You believe, what, that they should stay together through thick and thin, or if they part, they should both still be involved?
Well, I believe that there should be no battle royal. In other words, if there's going to be a split, the undertext of the split must be that the children come first. And if we're going to separate, we'll separate in a civilized way, and we'll continue to jointly parent the children.
Yeah. Ali is there, Sebastian's other half. Ali, you know, as a working actress, you have to take the work when it comes along, because...
Yes, there isn't any choice.
Yeah.
We don't have an awful lot of money, as Sebastian has said, so therefore we can't afford to take childcare. So when the work comes, it's either me or he. And Sebastian has been away for the last month doing...
the Stewart of Christendom.
The Stewart of Christendom in
Which
London.
is opening shortly in the gate, I believe.
the gate.
Yeah.
That's right. And I've been at home with the two babies. Before that, I did a show in the project, and Sebastian looked after the two babies.
And how did you feel any sort of guilt, or did you feel...
Oh, amazing guilt, total guilt, yeah. I mean, I think that if you have children, as Sebastian says again, and indeed as everybody is saying on the panel, you're an absolute sponge for guilt. You can say, well, I didn't really do that as well as I should have. I didn't manage that situation as well as I should have, and so on and so on. But the point is that I think, looking at my children anyway, I'm happy with the way they fit into our structure. They learn from an early age how to fit in with us. They know that if I'm not there, he'll be there, and vice versa. So they know.
So
that
as long
a
as you treat
parent
them as
is
humans and
available.
explain the rules to them.
Exactly. All you have to do to children is say, yes, I'm here.
Lady in white at the back.
Pat, as a relationship counsellor with MCS in Grafton Street, obviously we see an awful lot of people who are under stress, both husband and wife, and I think it's only fair that we should try and relieve some of the guilt that we're all feeling here tonight as parents. Children require good enough parenting.
Good enough.
Good enough. It doesn't have to be perfect. And I think to remember also that it's all right if love is constant but inconsistent. That's how it has to be. And I think
how do you mean? Constant but inconsistent?
Yeah, that the children know that love is constantly there, even if they see it demonstrated in an inconsistent manner. That's all right. We don't need perfection for our children. They don't require that.
Okay. A lady over here who's had her hand up for quite a while, yes?
I just wanted to make the point that some women do stay at home, and more people would stay at home, or more women, if they were appreciated for the work they do at home. I say they wouldn't go out to be independent if their husbands really appreciate it. I see the husbands here perhaps do, but some husbands don't appreciate the amount of work that goes and stress that goes to looking after children, looking after the home, and then perhaps they're not getting a little bit of money for themselves, perhaps to buy something they'd like. Your husband goes out and he always has money in his pocket, but the lady goes out and perhaps she can't give £1 to charity, but it's important to stay at home is to love the children, and important to do it. But you must be a person too, and appreciated as a person in the home.
All right.
I don't think anyone could imagine the toil involved, to use a recent word of the Pope's actually, unless you've actually endured that toil. See, people say they come home from work, man or woman, and they say, I've got to rest now. I've been slaving at the office all day and I must rest, and please don't bother me with the children. But the fact is that the person who's been looking after the children is in a state of physical collapse. And if you are both tired, you must simply go on, both of you, into the night, as it were, till you reach some port of...
Yeah, Liz at first, and then you...
I think there is a whole question about the world of work, that work is not, generally is not structured in a way that is friendly to families. But in countries where there have been developments in relation to the family, where there's a recognition, as the lady is talking about, of the value of childcare and looking after your own children, the birth rate is going up. And that's, I think, is an indication that it is possible to have it all in that respect.
Right. All right.
That you can have a family where you're not always exhausted and also have a job.
The extraordinary thing is, the end of the day, Maeve, is that we're still talking about this because, you know, the guilt is still there. Yes. The problems are still there, in spite of all the feminist battles that have been won.
We probably need to be a bit more selfish, actually, because I think we've got so child-centred now, in a way. I mean, I remember my mother always used to say to me, you're going to skedaddle out of here and get out into the garden and have play, you know, whereas we're all very concerned about, you know, making sure our children are happy and, you know, fostering them in the right way. I think probably parents need to be a bit more selfish.
All right. Well, thank you all for joining us, our participants in the audience and here as well. Thanks very much. The book, rattling good yarn, and it's called It Takes Two for Maeve Haran. Now, the lotto results. £552,000. The numbers 20, 22, 26, 29, 31 and 41. The bonus number is 23. And there was one winner. And the Northeast seems to be very lucky because the winner comes from that part of the country again. The headlines. A big story in all the papers is about Dick Spring and President Mary Robinson, a row. The press has President's White House trip vetoed, gag on ministers who travelled with President. That's the main story there. Spring plays down rift with the President, the main story in the Tribune. All for the love of a girl, that's about the fatal shootings which happened earlier today. The Sunday Business Post, the blood mess. Executive was director of key supplier. So it says there. The President had furious row with Spring over leaks. Spring was minister critical of President on the independent and bankers who write their own cheques. They are the headlines. Now, give me that if you would, Walter, please. Any of you have money on Royal Athlete today? Anyone win a few bob? Aintree Grand National? Oh, we had one person in the audience. We're going to give you another chance to win something anyway. On Easter Monday, the Irish Grand National happens. It's in Fairyhouse, sponsored, as always, by the Irish Distillers. And we asked our audience earlier, in what county was Fairyhouse? What county was it, folks? Meath. And they all, well, most of them got it right. All the correct entries are here. And let me just dig. Close my eyes and dig this, please. Pat Crostell. Oh, great. Where are you, Pat? Where are you from, Pat? Where are you from? Kilmacud. Well, let me tell you what's going to happen to you on Easter Monday. A limo, courtesy of Irish Distillers, is going to pull up outside your door to the envy of all your neighbours and friends, right? They will take you in the limo all the way to Fairyhouse, pre-race drinks, lunch, £100 spending money for the bets, okay? And then you will be brought, not back to Kilmacud, you'll be brought to Longfields Hotel on Fitzwilliam Street, Lower Dublin 2. They will have champagne for you, they will have dinner for you, you will have an overnight there, and the following morning you'll have to get the bus home. No, the following morning they will actually bring you home. And what's more, wait till you hear this, Kilkenny Design, you know, the Kilkenny shop, they are sponsoring the Best Dressed Man, Best Dressed Woman competition in Fairyhouse, and they're giving you £1,000 to spend.
Merciful hour.
Right, so now it's time to see, well done there, it's time to see who's won the 1.4 LX Ford Escort courtesy of Premier Direct Insurance. Adrian Hegarty of Premier Direct is in our audience here, and he's the one who supplied the motor car. The clues were 1,000 would be fine. What was that? 1,000? A grand. 1,000 and fine. Grand. Okay, grand. Second word, not so young anymore. Old. Grand old. And opera Southern style. Opry. So the answer was Grand Old Opry, and so it should have been on a programme which featured Garth Brooks, okay? Thousands of entries. We drew out the winner out of the drum on Thursday in the presence of a Peace Commissioner. Now, we do that to give us a chance of getting our satellite dish to the top of Crowpatrick or to the Aran Islands, if that's where our winner turns out to be. I don't know where our winner is. Only Aileen O'Reilly knows, and she's out there in the darkness somewhere. Aileen? Aileen?
Pat, you would not believe what is happening here. This is a hilarious situation.
Yeah.
Right, what you're seeing is the winner's door.
Yeah.
And are you giving them the signal?
Yeah, we are.
Okay, now what's happening is we couldn't get up to the house because the satellite dish didn't work, right?
Yeah.
So we're 100 yards down the road.
Yeah.
We're 100 yards down the road and we're hiding in a neighbour's house. Now, we had to take the winner's husband in on the whole thing.
Yeah.
So he's up there now, dragging her out of the house under some ridiculous pretense that there's an emergency down the road. Now, we're just going to have to wait. He's going in. Can you see him going in?
I can.
Right, he's going in.
She's watching the
Yeah,
telly.
but she hasn't heard the names yet, but she's going to know. She's going to know now any second if she's watching. We think she is watching.
Where are you? Oh, no. Well, tell us what county you're in.
I'm going to wait till she comes out and then I'll tell you, okay? Okay, I see them. They're coming. They're coming. Okay, now, all right, listen, I'll tell you. Her name is Anne Friel, right? Her husband is Kevin. They live in Castle Shane in County Monaghan. She's a band Garda. He's a Garda. They've got 2 kids, Kieran and Connor, and they watch the show all the time. They don't, hopefully she won't have had a clue. Maybe she got inklings.
What's her name again?
Anne Friel.
Anne Friel. And she's a
Friel.
band Garda.
She's a vanguarder, yes.
Oh, and she's stepping lightly through the darkness.
Well, she probably thinks, what the hell is going on? She's probably seen the light now. And she's
saying, oh, I haven't got me makeup on and I was in my slippers
probably,
and maybe she's in her nightie,
they're
with any luck.
They're running down the road. Okay.
Where are they, Aileen?
They're coming, they're coming. What else can I tell you about them? Oh, yeah, here I was earlier saying, oh, it's so relaxing, we found them, and then we'd all these problems with the satellite dish. It's just been hilarious. We've got a huge group of neighbours down the road. We've the champagne ready, so it should be really, really good. The escort is actually trailing them down behind the road. She doesn't know what that car is doing, but it's hers. So it's going to be great.
And of course, being a band Garda, she's sensitive. She knows I'm under surveillance for some reason.
Here they are. Here they are. Anne, come here. You're after winning the car on Kenny Live. Come here. Come on. Come here. You're after winning. Come on down.
Go on, give her a round of applause. Well done, Anne.
You've actually won. Well, what do you think?
That's unbelievable. I was trying to tune in to Kenny Live. We've lost RTE. I couldn't get the programme. She wasn't watching it all.
Get that car down here. Come on.
Oh, that's
We've got
great.
to show you the car. It's absolutely fabulous. Come on, we come down to the neighbours and the car will follow us down. Do we have a telephone to give to... Do we have a telephone to give her for a chat with Pat? No? Anne needs a telephone. Anne, tell us how you're feeling.
I can't believe this is really happening.
When did you send your entry in?
I sent it in during the week. I didn't get it on Saturday night. I didn't get the answer.
Did you find it a tough one?
Yeah. And I was just going down to Armagh with a friend of mine, Nita Keenan.
Yeah.
And we were just thinking about it and it just came to me and we didn't even have a postcard. We cut it out of a bit of cardboard.
Well, they won anyway. Here she goes. She's going to be able to talk to you now, Pat.
Hello, Anne, how are you? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah, well, we were watching you all the time as you walked down the road and listening to you. Oh, God, oh, God.
I was given I too.
And you weren't even watching the programme tonight. Shame on you.
No, I tried to watch it, but we've lost RTE. There must be something wrong with the aerial.
Oh, likely story, a likely story.
Honestly.
Probably the satellite dish threw it off. It's been acting
It
up.
might have done something like that. Look, we're going to leave you there having great fun up there. Congratulations to you. And may you have many years of happy motoring in the brand new Escort, courtesy of Premier Direct Insurance. All the best, Aileen. Good night, and congratulations to everyone there. Okay. That's all we have time for tonight. Before I go, let me tell you about next Saturday night's show. It is going to be a sensational show. The very best of Nashville talent coming into this very studio. We have Clint Black and Trisha Yearwood and Rodney Crowell. Oh, look, just so many people. It is a terrific show, so make sure you do not miss next Saturday night, because it really is going to be a terrific show. Hope you enjoyed tonight. Until next Saturday night, good night from everyone here. Good night, good night, good night.